Hello and welcome to another episode of the Christian Reeve podcast. Today's guest, how do I introduce him? He is a fantastic artist here in Manchester. I've been meaning to get him on the show for quite some time. His name is Eyam. Welcome to the show.
Thank you for having me.
Oh, it's a pleasure,
Very
man.
excited.
Are you excited? I'm excited, man. I don't know.
Excited. Yeah.
I okay. What I'm going to preface this by saying is I watch bands play every single day. Like most days, I've traveled obviously for music, for like music festivals and stuff. Um, with the sound engineering stuff I do, I meet artists all the time. Obviously, playing gigs myself, being a musician. Um, yeah, I've
Very
seen
good.
it. Sorry,
A very good one.
it's coming from you, mate. Come on, come on.
Everyone listen to Second Chances re-released on June.
I'm trying to get it out earlier, but we'll see. We'll
Oh,
see. We'll
nice.
see. It will be louder, which is
Okay.
important. There you go.
Anyway,
But this
sorry.
is about you. This ain't about me. Even though, side note, sidebar. I named the show after me, and then it's about my guests. Well, I was kind of coming at it from the whole interview, like a
Yeah.
la,
It's like
like I don't know, Graham Norton, Parkinson kind of thing. But yeah. Anyway, um, the point I'm trying to get to is that you see a lot of bands, and I think as a musician, and maybe you can agree or disagree on this one, but like when you become a musician, I think the way that you look at music and the way you consume music, and also the way that you watch other artists changes forever.
oh,
You,
100%.
do you know what I mean? It's like you can go to your favorite show, favorite band, and you will critique it, not necessarily like you're going into it like, oh, I'm going to critique this, but it just happens. You can't unhear things. You see certain things, you notice certain things, and you just look at it differently. And I'm still able to enjoy music the same way as I always have, but I look at it through that lens. And I look at music now, especially when it comes to watching artists, kind of from like a tier list thing. So it's like there's artists that I hear where it's like, okay, maybe this is where they'll always kind of be in this kind of ballpark right here, which is fine. Like it's everyone has different goals, everyone has different aspirations and stuff, right?
Mm.
And well, what do I mean by that? Because this is like, ooh, what's he saying? What's he trying to say? So I personally believe anyone can sing. I know some people, shows like the X Factor will have you believe otherwise. I believe everyone can sing. And I believe
Yeah.
this because everyone can go, like that and hold a note, right?
Hmm.
And as we both know, a lot of music is, especially when you're singing, is about tuning your ear and practice, practice, practice,
Hmm.
practice, practice.
Hmm.
So when I first started singing, I couldn't sing for shit. I was tone deaf. And now I'm able to do falsetto. So how is that journey? It's time, it's practice, it's understanding your voice, understanding your range. That's why I
Yeah.
say everyone can sing. Now, when it comes to looking at what different musicians can do and will do, there's musicians who just do it for a bit of fun. There's musicians that are kind of like semi-professional in the sense that they might, like do like loads of pub gigs or loads of like venues, stuff like that. You got your professional like wedding singers and stuff like that. And then you've got kind of amateur musicians and then professional musicians, right? And there's different varying levels to that. And I find that a big part of that is longevity, how long you've been going, and also commitment and just really trying to improve at all times, right?
Mm.
Now, when I look at you as an artist, when I consider every single time I've watched you play, the response in the room to you playing is fascinating. I mean, you know this, but I'll tell the listeners. Every time I've watched AM play, I've cried every single time for good reasons. It's very beautiful, and it hit me. I remember the first time like it was yesterday, and I remember turning to Kaisha, and we both felt the same way, and I was just like, wow. And it was interesting because we'd had a lot of like artists that night who you know, maybe they were like more upbeat or just kind of like heavier or whatever you, however you want to put it. But you have this ability to come in a room, and even if the whole night was like super, super upbeat and super high energy, you come in and you have your, you know, your time on the stage, and in that moment, everyone is captivated, and they're right there with you in that moment, and it's like you're just taken away from wherever it is you're in, wherever headspace you're in, wherever you are, and you're just in that moment together, experiencing it. And I don't feel like a lot of artists necessarily can do that, you know. And when I look at artists that I think quote unquote have it, you have it. I don't know what it is, but you have it. And I knew it the first time I watched you play. I've known it every single time since then, and that's why I keep pushing you to get music out and everything. And it's exciting. It's exciting seeing that in another artist and imagining all the possibilities and everything. Um, this is a really really long winded intro. I don't normally do this,
Oh, I
but
was just gonna say thank you. Like
I
that's
just wanted to
so
kind of
kind.
like no. It's well deserved. But I just wanted to start, I guess, by asking you, how does it feel when you're on stage? How do you feel in those moments?
Um, it depends on the room. Like you were saying, uh, like for example, the first time we met properly and did that open mic at the Grand Central, and everyone was very upbeat, and I kind of knew I was going to go on and do like slow, quiet stuff, and it was really kind of it's like a bit nerve wracking because I'm like this can go. It doesn't always go like people don't always listen, you know, obviously, because that's what it's like doing music. Um, but that was a really lovely night. I think when I'm playing, I just try to sort of like just really focus. I always shut my eyes when I'm playing because I can't be looking at the crowd. It's too like I'll get distracted or too self conscious. So I try to just sort of zone out and like it helps with the longer songs where it's a bit of a sort of journey to play. You can sort of forget that you're in a room, forget that people are listening, and kind of just try and do it as well as possible, I guess.
Yeah, I totally agree with you. I'm right there. Same exact feelings when I'm on stage.
Yeah.
I will say like to my ear, you sound very seasoned as a musician. How long have you been a musician for?
I've yeah been a musician like basically all my life, but I have only started sort of singing and doing sort of songs and stuff for probably around 2018. I think it was 2019. I wrote my first song, and but I like played piano as a kid. Did like so I've been around music my whole life, which has definitely helped like an unbelievable amount when it comes to like sort of figuring out how to like a type of singing that works for my voice. I found a voice note the other day that I'd sent my sister in like 2019 of me like playing like the first song I wrote, and I was like shocked at how different my voice sounded back then from what it does now. Um, yeah, doing songs since about 2018.
That's a fascinating one as well. Is as you say, like trying to figure out what your voice is, what it's supposed to be. Like when I look at what I can do vocally, there's a lot that I can do with my voice, but
Mm.
if you're talking like putting out a record and being like, this is me, that's hard. Because it's like a commitment to a thing, and like you have a very clear sound, and we'll get into that in a minute. But like, I can tell it probably took some time to figure it out because it's like, how do you decide on that? How do you go right? It's going to be this.
Yeah, like
You know what I
and
mean?
yeah, and also trying to sort of not do that, like trying to have it happen naturally, but also you can't just have it happen naturally, because in that case you're not doing anything and then you're not changing it all. I think for me it was sort of like just gradually accumulating influences. So for me it was like the album I listened to that first sort of, totally blew my mind and changed my life was In the Airplane Over the Sea by Neutral Milk Hotel. So I had like a big
Oh
period of
yeah.
just like trying to be Jeff Mangum and trying to sing like that and thinking, oh, maybe I could write a song. And then after a bit of time, I start listening to Fleet Foxes and the Microphones, and like Robin Pecknold and Phil Elverum have this like such soft voice tone and sort of like a sweet, different kind of singing. And I'm like, oh, maybe that's easier. And then I don't know, just eventually kind of just trying to think about it less and less, I guess. I'm not sure.
It was a question I was going to ask you actually, was who are you inspired by? Like, because for the longest time I was listening to your music and I was like, I couldn't place it. And it's interesting because there are influences that you'll hear in your own work, and then there'll
Mm,
be things that people pull from it. So, like for instance, I know that I'm really inspired by, here's a few, the Decemberists.
mm,
I fucking love them. Radiohead, obviously.
yeah,
City in Color is a big one as far as like acoustic. Like I felt like Dallas Green really showed me like, hey, it's okay, you can go do this and make a
yeah,
success of it. And it's like, okay, cool. Um, but then since the album dropped, I've heard people say, "Oh, this sounds like the Smiths. Oh, this sounds like the Cure," and I'm like, and I listen
used to be.
back, yes, and then you start listening to your own music a bit differently. You're like, "Oh yeah, okay, I can hear that. Oh, weird. All right, interesting. I guess somewhere down the line that did subconsciously seep in, kind of thing."
Yeah.
Um, First thing I thought when I heard your music was, this is really specific, but it sounded like a specific Ed Sheeran song. To me, it sounded like that song he did for The Hobbit? Was it Into the Fire or something? Back in
I
like
think I've heard it, yeah.
2013. Yeah, it was like one song he did, and it was very different from everything else he does. And it was cool. Obviously, it
Mm.
was Hobbity, song. But something about the cadence, the way it was written, the way it sounded, etc., to my ear is very similar to what you do. Although, and like in a way, I was thinking like, oh, this would be like if Ed had just packed in his pop shit and just did this, which would be sick. This is maybe where it might go. But the interesting thing about your music is it's very experimental, despite the fact that it's like, I'm gonna put this like so. It'd be very easy for you to just do like straightforward songs, like 3 4 minute songs, like for instance, like how I do, just like basic shit. Um, but you decide to kind of push it out and try different things, and it works. Like I love 15-minute songs. I grew up in bands like Dream Theater, so I'm like, yeah.
Yeah.
But that's hard. It's a lot harder to do with acoustic because it's like, how do you keep someone engaged for that long? And I
Mm.
saw you do it. You did a 15-minute song at an open mic, and
Sorry.
no, it's cool. It was
Oh
awesome.
yeah.
It was inspiring because it's just like, how do you make this work? And I think the key is, I guess, just how you blend one thing into the next. How do you go about structuring a song like that?
Um, Sort of. I think it's got. I don't want to say easier as time has gone on. I've probably got like 4 or 5 really long ones. Um, but to be fair, it's sort of how I started getting into songwriting. Like the first song I ever wrote, which at the time I thought was just going to be the only one I ever wrote, it's still my longest song. It's about 16, 17 minutes. And that was just at the time I was trying to sort of emulate like my influences. So I was like super into, as I mentioned before, Neutral Milk Hotel. And at the time, I kind of considered Oh Comely like the greatest song ever written. I still think it is one of the greatest songs ever written. But I was also a fan of bands like So kind of like you were saying earlier, influences that I see in my work that not other people would, like car seat headrests, sort of indie rock, like lo-fi rock songs. But Will Toledo writes these like really long, really complicated tunes. And so for that first one, I sort of kept it to a sort of fast, slow structure once I had like some of the guitar parts, and then went in and filled in all the gaps. And I think that's kind of how I've treated the songs since then, where I've got like a bunch of little ideas that I don't really have anything to do with. And then eventually I can kind of piece together like a structure for a song that kind of doesn't exist yet, and then go in and sort of write it like that. And then as I'm going, having to sort of pull bits out or go, this is too long, or this isn't long enough.
How do you how do you decide when it's done?
uh, well, luckily, sometimes I'll have an ending before sort of like the middle of the piece. So I'll know how it's going to end, or I get like the last verse or whatever. And then it's just about sort of getting there. But I mean, in terms of sort of like little tweaks and being able to kind of put it down and go, it's finally done, I am yet to do that. Like I never stop sort of fiddling with them, especially like lyrically. I can never make up my mind. But luckily, no one else knows the songs well enough to notice when I'm changing lines.
Do you would you say that you change the structure and the sound of songs a lot live, or just try to keep
Mm.
it to the initial composition?
Structure, I don't really,
Hmm.
because I'm not good enough of like an improviser to do that. Like it takes a really long time for me to write stuff. I'm so envious of people that can sit down and bash out a really good song and just be like, it came to me. Like I think that is such a skill, and I'm so sort of in awe of all my friends that can do that. For me, it's such like a labored process that I'm kind of happy with the structure, I'm sort of happy with it. It's more lyrics. Like I get really sort of in my own head about constantly flicking little words and switching them out and blah blah blah. Yeah.
It's an interesting one, songwriting, isn't it? I mean, I've I kind of live by the whole work for the song mentality. So
Mm.
whatever I have, it has to work, and I adapt it to that. So like I might have some really great lyrics, but if it doesn't work for the song, I'm like either start from scratch or edit this so that it works for
Yeah.
the music and go from there.
Yeah.
And it was funny, like yeah, I remember like Michael like lightly mocked me when I sent him some stuff that I want to record with him at some point. He's like, "Oh, this is really simple," and obviously Michael's songs are really complex, right? And I just said to him like, hey, less is more, man. Like,
Yeah.
just existing is two chords, status quo, bit of career on three chords. Doesn't have to
Yeah.
be
Like
complex. And I
that
said,
song I mentioned earlier, "Oh Comely." So that's two chords for most of the 8 minutes of its runtime.
well, that's the thing as well. Like I said to him like I focus more on my vocal sort of style and like what I add to it there rather than just focusing on the chords and the progression stuff. But like just I try to let the songs breathe as much as possible and become what they're supposed to become. But I do kind of find this fascinating how every musician's approach and process is totally different.
Yeah.
Um, do you ever change the keys of how you sing them?
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah. Like the that first song I wrote originally was in G, and now I've put it up 3 frets on the capo just because over time my voice has. I think I've figured out that I can sing a bit higher than I used to think I could, and also that my like really low isn't as strong as I thought it was when I started. Um, but yeah, every time I need to end up messing with the frets until it kind of finds a nice place where it sits.
I do it all the time. I often don't play in the original key of my album.
Yeah,
I only recently returned to the original key for Just Existing because I got bored of doing it higher. I was like, oh, I just want to kind of play it in the original key. Um, it's weird that, isn't it? Like, but now I understand why musicians change shit so much when they play live because you keep playing the same songs again, 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 again. And like,
mm,
I got to a point where I was like, fuck it, I'm just going to play stuff that I've not even released yet because it's fun or like other
yeah,
covers and stuff. And then I started thinking like, oh, maybe I should promote a bit more because I got the album, so people probably need to hear it. That's the whole point. Then it's like, oh, you can never get it right. Anyway, oh, I mentioned Michael. Obviously you recorded your single Jenny with him. Did I get that
I
right?
did. I did. Yes,
So
he produced it.
you're back in the studio with him. Talk us through what it's like working with Michael. For those who don't know, Michael Webster, he was on the podcast recently.
Michael is great to work with. He is obviously like very experienced as a producer, but I'm also lucky to be working with him because he's just also one of my best friends. Um, like in terms of recording, it's great because he knows the songs very, very well. I met him through doing open mics, and uh, so he's been hearing a lot of these songs for, I guess, years at this point. And it means like we've had all this time to sort of discuss how it should sound, and he's someone who's very opinionated about it in a positive way, where if I'm turning around to him and saying kind of stupid things like this needs to sound worse, or like I want this to bit to sound sort of a bit rough around the edges, he'll be like, yeah, 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 like because he gets what I'm going for. But he, like when it comes to studio stuff as well, he also is just really great at trying things out. Um, he'll have an idea for how something should sound. He'll give it a go and show it to me, and I can be like, if I say I'm sorry, I don't like I think we should do it differently. He'll be like, oh, sure, no problem, and instantly kind of change it. And at the same time, if we try something and I'm totally wrong about an idea, he'll be like, but we'll. It's a very nice collaboration where we both always end up coming to the same conclusions about which version of something's better.
Yeah, I do sense that from him. It's one of the reasons why I want to work with him when I record my next record, which is probably going to be an EP.
Fab.
You kind of get a feel for people sometimes, don't you? You know,
Yeah,
like for
yeah.
me, it's so much more important what they're like because I've so far I've worked with three different producers. First one was probably the best producer I've ever worked with. Second one was terrible, and then the third was a duo, and they did my album, and they were fantastic to work with. And the key thing I need is for someone to be pushing it as much as me. So I want them to turn around and be like, "That shit, do it again, do it
Yeah,
again, do it
yeah.
again. Now try this, do this. Shut up, just do it." Like that's what I want. I don't want someone. This is what my experience. Some of you might not know this. I actually recorded a solo EP many years ago, about 12 years ago now. Yeah, acoustic. Before I gave up music for the first time, the only time. And the guy I worked with was Katie Mellower's keyboardist. I shit, you know. His studio was in his parents' backyard in like a I don't know like converted shed. And it was a fine studio. It was fine. Yeah, he had all the equipment he needed and stuff. But it was so disappointing. It was literally like I'd get finished doing a take, and I would be like, there'd be silence, and I'd just be like, "How was that?" It was like, "Yeah." Well, any
Is
feedback?
that
Yeah,
it?
just like, was it good? Was it bad? Do I need to try something else? Like,
Mm,
I was just gutted. Like,
yeah.
because the first guy I worked with, his name's Phil Kinman. He was pushing it as hard as me, and like I remember because it was a whole band thing. The
Mm,
whole band would fuck off at like the end of the day. We'd still be there hours afterwards, just like listening and talking, like going like, "Oh, what about
yeah,
this, what about this, what about that?"
yeah.
And like I said to him one night, I was like, "Dude, I can't afford to pay you like overtime. Like you're working overtime on it." And he's like, "Christian, this is going out under my name as well as yours.
Hmm.
It needs to be up here. This means X amount to me." And like it's something like clicked in my head about like whenever it's something that you're working on, whatever it is, or even if you're working with people, you need to work as hard as possible.
Yeah,
Like I've
yeah,
had, for instance, when I do sound at GC, I get mocked a lot by people because I come back and forth around the pillar to hear the sound and tweak and check things. And
Yeah.
like there was a guy mocking me, and it's someone I know, and I just find it funny. He was like, "Oh, you're doing that a lot," and I was like, "Well, first of all, it's my job." Literally. And secondly, like, yeah, I care, man. Doesn't matter
Yeah.
if it's like a just a comedy act, or a full band. Like, I want everything to sound great because it reflects on me as much as it does on them.
Yeah.
I don't know, like,
And also, the feeling of playing somewhere where the sound is shit. And like it just gives the artist so much more. I mean, that's kind of why I felt comfortable first time I went to Grand Central and did these fucking 7-minute quiet whispery songs, because I could hear myself and it felt good. It like, yeah, it just makes a huge difference for the performer.
it's. I mean, I assume most sound engineers are musicians just by proxy, but like it helps so much more. Like for instance, I know exactly how to tweak your sound to get the best out of it. Some of it will be personal preference, granted, but like
Mm-hmm.
it's just there's a level of understanding when you know how things are supposed to sound and then how you sound. And like one thing that's always fun actually is when you get returning people that you're like, all right, turn the mic right down.
Instantly.
Turn it right up for this guy, or maximum reverb on
Go
this
to the
guy.
presets. Yeah.
Yeah, or sometimes it'll literally just be like me reminding someone like, hey, take the mic, put it as close to your face as possible. I was like, if you this one irritates me. If you hold it like this away, there's nothing I can do. There's nothing I can do. If you put it close to your face and it tweaks, that's fine because I can then turn you down a little bit.
I
It's
used to be
amazing.
awful at that. When I first did my first couple of open mics, because I'd perform with my eyes shut, I would be playing ages and I couldn't hear myself, and then I'd open my eyes and the microphone's like over here. I'm like, oh shit, I've like wandered off halfway through.
I do that sometimes. I'm the same as you.
I think it
I
was
have.
Michael who at one point sort of turned up and was like, try and keep it a bit closer to the mic.
I love how like quiet Michael is with his approach as well. So like
Yeah, yeah.
Miyako should just be like, listen, take the mic, put it to your face. Michael would be like, he'd do that eye
Next time,
contact
mate,
thing.
think about maybe doing this.
Yeah,
And
but
it's almost worse because I'm like, oh, he's actually saying it.
he does the quiet, like, okay, like when, sorry, Michael, if you're watching this, listening to this, but you do it. It's not a criticism. I just find it funny. He'll know exactly what I mean. Like, let's say someone's annoyed him, someone's been rude, right? He has this look. It's like it's like a deadpan, like something you'd see in like Always Sunny or something. He just looks at you
Yeah.
like I remember one time we were outside having a cigarette outside Rewind, and we were just chatting, catching up, and there was this couple that were like really pushing to be on first. I think I've ever told
Mm.
this story on Michael's show, so apologies to my listeners for recounting it, but you get this a lot. You get rude people a lot, unfortunately. And if you're hosting, just say on a side note, it's interesting to me that people are rude when you're the one hosting because you can literally just turn around and be like, "You're not playing."
Yeah.
You have that power, but for some reason, people just treat you like a dog. I don't get it. So they can see we're talking. It's early, and I don't know. From what I gathered, they traveled quite far and they had to leave really early. So basically, they
Mhm.
were like, "Oh, can we get this over with, please? Can we get on stage, please?" So like he had to like stub his cigarette out, go downstairs. He gave me the look. He went downstairs. And he sets them up, and they committed the cardinal sin. What is the cardinal sin? Well, I've told it on the show before, but if you are a musician and you go to an open mic night, a gig, I think there should be like an official rule that you at least have to stay for one band. At
Yeah.
least one. Like
Yeah.
either you stay for one or you're not allowed to play. That would be my ruling. Now, why do I say that? Well, nothing looks shitter than you like coming in, playing, and then immediately fucking off. There's just something about it. I can't put my finger on it, but it just looks bad. And no one else does that. Like everyone else sticks around and supports other artists, and I don't know. Maybe it's like a sign of respect thing, I guess. But
Yeah, it's just rude. Like I think a lot of people don't understand that, or at least the open mics I go to, they are like a supportive. I don't want to say like a support network, because that's not quite what I'm trying to say, but like that's half of the point of being there, is to watch, not just to play. Like you learn so much from watching other performers and seeing how they do things, how they play, how they write. And also, like, surely if you're a performer, you must like some there's some people on the open mic scene who I think just don't enjoy music. And I'm like, why do you perform? Because you never watch or listen to anyone else.
So, what makes you say that? Because that's interesting. You say they don't like music. I mean, I would argue they're just not interested in anyone but themselves. But why do you say
Yeah,
they
I
don't
guess
like music?
that's a better way of phrasing what I mean. It's just it's more like a like it's just a bit of a joke where you can sometimes it feels like people, because every time they go and they never watch anyone, it's like, well, you obviously don't enjoy listening to music.
This is what I was going to say as well. Yeah, I think you can't really. You're not a true fan of music. Like one of the reasons why I stick around is because like you discover genuinely great artists. Like I find it really fucking cool that in our little community of people, musicians, we're actually like legitimate fans of each other's work.
Yeah.
There's been time like I play your music all the time at GC, even when you're not there. You know, I we played each other's. Like, there's been times we've been sitting in the pub and just playing each other's songs on guitar and singing them and
Yeah.
stuff. That's fun. But also, yeah, like you discover so much, you get opportunities. You know,
Mm.
I mean, obviously, you said you and Michael met at an open mic night. Well, let's look at what that's led to. It's led to a great friendship. It's led to, you know, countless opportunities for gigs and open mics. It's led
Yeah.
to you becoming a better musician because of all the experience and everything. And it's
Yeah.
also led to, you know, a recording and probably like an EP or an album coming out soon, right?
Well,
Mm,
not soon, but hopefully it
mm.
will exist.
This year,
There's a
this year,
plan. There's a plan for an album. We
this year.
just, I don't know. Hopefully,
How long are you
hopefully.
gonna make us? At least put a fucking single out, man. Come on.
Uh,
Jenny is what, like under
I
two
am.
minutes long. I need more.
I
We all need more.
I have got plans for a song to come out very soon.
Okay.
I've been messing around, actually self-recording, because me and Michael have been super busy, and
Yeah.
the way we work is that we only ever record in our spare time, because like but we're not trying to rush it.
Yeah.
We
No.
both are kind of just doing it for fun, and because it's like something we both care about, which is like I'm still so grateful to him for the amount of like emotional investment he puts into this stuff. But I was messing around recording some stuff, and I got a take of a song I was quite happy with, so I've sent it his way. He's given like notes on the mix. It goes back to what we were saying earlier about how dedicated he is to getting something to sound good. So even this thing, which I've like self-produced, he's listened to it loads of times. He's listened to a bunch of different versions, giving the tiniest kind of notes on little tweaks. Yeah, it's just been really, really helpful. And like, yeah, I'm just very grateful to him for that.
I always think as well, like just going back to what we were saying about people that don't support other artists and are only in it for themselves. I think that you miss out a lot on growth as an artist and seeing the best in other people. Like so many of those opportunities come about from those connections you make and throwing each other's names in a hat and thinking about
Mm,
each other and you know, yeah, like something like that from a work perspective. If you understand another artist and you're producing them, you can really start to kind of iron out the details and figure out like, okay, we need to tweak this, we need to change this, this is what
yeah,
will give it the best room
yeah,
to breathe kind of thing, you know? Like for
yeah.
example, really good example. Rob has this track. I fucking love it. It's called When. He
Mm,
plays it all the time. There's certain tracks I hear, like I've heard it when you played, Michael's played, Rob's played, etc. And I'm like, that's a hit. That's right there. That's something. And at first, I was just kind of like hearing him play it and just like humming along. And I was like, okay, I hear this, I hear this, I hear this. And he showed me like an old demo and it was like a punky version and I said like, can I give you my opinion? And he was like, yeah, absolutely, go ahead. And I was like, this takes everything that's brilliant about this song away from it. And he
The
was,
punk version.
yeah, and he was like, no, I get it. I know what you mean. And he's
Yeah.
obviously, it's a song he's reworking on. He's working on his own music and trying to kind of put together a record. And but it's interesting as well because how you hear things and then how an individual artist hears them totally different. I think it can be difficult to self-produce and know what's right for yourself, even though it's you. It's
Yeah.
like where do you draw the line? And that's why it's useful to have someone, say like Michael, on your side who can kind of be that soundboard or that different opinion and be like, well, maybe we should try it this way. What do you think?
Yeah. Yeah. Like I've just been going totally sort of ear blind to this song, just listening to it over and over and over again, and to the point where I'm like, I don't know what's good. I don't know. Is this song even real anymore? Like, is any of it any good? And then, but then I can send it over to Michael, and he just understands what I'm going for. So, like, the song I'm making, the first verse of it intentionally sounds like really poorly produced because it has a shift in the production halfway through. And I sent it to him, and he was like, oh, just so you know, like the verse like sounds really shit. And I was like, no, yeah, it's supposed to. He's like, no, I know it's supposed to, but here's how to make it sound even worse in a more satisfying way. And I'm like,
What mind fuck?
he gets it.
Oh, what is your game, Eyam? I don't understand. Just put a fucking normal record out, please. Like we all need to hear it, man. You
It's
could
because
do.
I love like
Can't you just
lo-fi.
put like an album out, make us happy, and then just put like an EP out and do all your crazy experimental shit.
I have been thinking the album that me and Michael have planned is very ambitious. So I think what we might do is just record like a acoustic version of it, like a demo of it, and just throw it
Ooh,
out there just so it exists. Because when you have like multiple songs on it, which are over 9 minutes, and it took us so long to make Jenny, which is a minute and 50 seconds.
how come?
It's just like I said before, we were working on it in our free time. And so it means like in terms of actual like studio hours, it probably wasn't a huge amount of time. But in terms of when we did our first session towards when it was finished, it was like, I don't know, 6 months or something.
I mean, I can attest for things taking way longer than they should sometimes. I mean, sometimes it's just out of your hands, things get delayed. Like my album technically took like 14 days of in studio time where I was present. Obviously,
Mm.
there would have been a lot of time when Jack and George, who produced it, were in and out of the studio. There were life things that got in the way. But it was interesting because I kind of naively went in there thinking like, oh, it's stripped back, it's just acoustic, it'll be easy. Once we started doing the band stuff, obviously I knew that that would take a bit longer, but I figured since the songs were easy, it would be okay. But so much
Yeah.
of the time, we did actually fly through the recording, but the stuff that took time was, like going back and hashing over vocals and redoing them, and like
Mm.
obviously, here's something I learned as well, which I'm sure you can appreciate too, is like just how tiring it is to listen to music. Like when you're listening to it, like trying to like hear. I remember George said, what was he said? You get like mushroom ears after a while. Like you have to kind of go out and come back in and take some time away from it, and because you can kind of hear things maybe that aren't there, or you get too kind of tunnel vision with it.
Mm.
It's difficult because you're trying to just make it sound as good as possible, and that can change from day to day. Like you might do all this work one day, and then the next day you come in, it just sounds shit,
Yeah.
and you're like, why, what? But then you, like you said earlier about like lyric writing and stuff like that, it's like you get in your head, and you're just like, and I don't know. That's why it's definitely good to have more than one person. I think just to
Yeah.
kind of yeah.
Yeah. Like, despite the fact I've kind of just made this demo quote unquote by myself, I've been sending it to people every time I do a new mix. Pretty much, I'll send it to Michael. I'll send it to my little brother, who's
It's a good
like a
idea.
super talented like musician and producer. So he was giving great notes, and then I'll send it to like people I know who aren't musicians, just to be like, does this sound fine? Like to someone who's not going to go and have like great notes about like the specific frequencies or whatever. Just someone who doesn't care about all that, and then they'll give like a great opinion or
That
just
is a big one actually. When you hear something that's like so fucking unnoticeable, no one else would hear it, but you hear it
yeah.
and you can't unhear it, and it's like, oh, for fuck's sake, just throw it in the mix, hide it in the mix, fix it
Yeah.
in post. Right. The next segment is Vilma's questions. It's a
Oh,
new segment that I've been premiering. I mean, technically, there's been many Vilma's questions segments over the years. Massive thank you to my good friend Vilma, who sends in these amazing questions. And we've got a couple of questions here from you. So, from Vilma. So, thank you, Vilma. Question number one: do you think your music would sound different if you lived somewhere else, like by the ocean, instead of where you are now?
um, yes, because I wouldn't have had the influences that I've had from like amazing local artists that I've been lucky enough to watch and meet, who have kind of taught me so much about songwriting and what you can do. Like, if I'd been by the ocean the whole time, I probably would be writing less songs about the ocean because basically all of my songs are about the ocean. So I probably would have been sick of it by now. But yeah, like the kind of loads of influences I've got from, like you're saying, just all these people who, many of which don't really have like loads of aspirations with music, but are just like incredible artists. And just being lucky enough to be around them has influenced me loads in the way I write, like musically and lyrically.
A few things actually I want to say about that. One, I totally agree with you. Like Manchester, I've been here for 5 years. I don't normally stay in a place past 3 years, but there's something about the energy of this place as a creative. The city breathes creativity,
Yeah,
and as a musician, it's like fascinating being in this city. And one thing I've always been enamored by is how humble everyone seems to be for the most part. You do get occasional dickheads,
yeah,
but like most people just it'd be like you said it at the top of the hour. You were like complimenting me as a good musician, and I was like, dude, I feel like you're so many levels above me. It's unreal. But the other side of it is that you don't compare. It's like you do and you don't. Like you always are enamored by the people around you and going, oh wow, they're so talented. Like wow,
yeah.
fantastic. But then the other side is like you don't look at it like a competition. You know,
Yeah, I don't think there's any point in doing it like that because you're either going to just be looking at it in an unhealthy way or you're going to be making yourself feel shit about yourself because you'll be like, oh my God, I'll never be as good as this person or never be as good as this person. But also, what's lovely about the scene is that you'll find people just operating in like genres that I have like no desire to perform in, but like I love watching. Like I've never played anything, I've never written anything sort of punky or whatever, but like just off the top of my head, good friend Kian Lara's Laughter, fucking incredible punk songwriter and stuff. And I love his music so much. But like you'd never find yourself sort of, I would never want to compare his stuff to mine because it's like I would just get in my own head like he's got this incredible energy and it's just because we're doing different things. Like I don't want to be beating myself up about like, oh, I should be more like high energy, loud, like yeah.
it's like that Radiohead song, man. Everything in its right place. Like music, there's a time and a place for everything.
Mm,
Like when I think about your music, like I know exactly when and where I will listen to that kind of thing. Like I
mm,
know the headspace, and then I know kind of the headspace where I would listen to my own music. You know, I mean, I
yeah.
try not to because it's just weird, but um, you do kind of have that mentality about your own music. And like, for example, I don't often play the quieter songs on my album live because every room I go in, it's like people just don't want to hear it, and it's quite depressing music, unfortunately. But sometimes I will, and sometimes it will captivate. I don't know. It's interesting. But as you say, the whole comparison thing is stupid. I don't. One thing I've always been really, really grateful for the most part in music and acting, is everyone seems to be really supportive and help each other out, because it's like you're all in the same boat. You know the deal. You know the struggles. You know how difficult it is, for instance, to get a gig, to
Mm.
to get people to care. This is a big thing about artists not supporting other artists. I can tell you, like, we've all played to no one. We've all played rooms where people like laugh or aren't interested or try to derail what you're doing. We've done it all. We've been through all of it, and that's part of it. I think is that understanding. Like, yeah, I'm going to be here for these people, man, because that's what it's about, man.
Yeah, it's just lovely, and I just love hearing people play and hearing
Yeah,
stuff I've never heard before. Like, yeah, I think
absolutely.
it's such a so lucky to be living in a place where that is like just at you. I mean, it's happening every single night.
Could not agree more. Question number two: what's a lyric you've written that you weren't sure made sense but kept anyway because it just felt right?
Oh,
I
I've
love you for
got,
these, film.
I've got, I've got a couple that quite a lot of my lyrics. I worry that what I'm trying to say just is not coming across at all. But there is a line in one song which just straight up doesn't make any like a grammatical sense, but I don't really care. It's a, I think the line is, it seems this room we once had meaning stands, sorry, it seems this room we once found meaning stands anew, but like, it seems this room we once found meaning, like, doesn't make any, like, that's
In,
wrong.
meaning
Yeah.
in.
Yeah. It seems that this room where we once found meaning, but there's just no where.
I think
Like,
you can get away with it though in
yeah,
music
like
and
I think it
poetry.
can,
It's like, fuck it, don't
the
matter,
point
does it?
makes sense, but like if you think about it too long, I think I was playing that song once at a show, and apparently someone came in and said it sounded like the lyrics were AI generated, and that was like the
Ooh,
most insulting thing that anyone's ever said about my stuff.
that's pain, man. And that do you know
It's a
what?
song I
Just
really, really care about as well. It's like quite a personal one.
on a
Um,
side note as well, like, that's kind of a big problem right now, is like people accusing each other of that. Like,
mhm.
I feel like one thing that stands on our side and we can always back ourselves up is like, we've got proof that we've written all this. We played live for years. Like, I've got old videos of me doing my songs like 4 5 fucking years ago.
Yeah,
Um, and we don't have anything to worry about where that's concerned. But there does seem to be more and more artists now. Artists, the people who use AI for music, and the people are doing it legit, like using voice models, just producing all this shit and putting it out, and people don't know the difference.
I know that people like to defend AI, but I
Fuck
have
AI.
no respect for anyone that uses it to substitute like any kind of art. I fucking hate it.
I completely agree with you. I think it will be the death of creativity.
Hmm.
I've hated it since it first came on the scene. I will die on this fucking hill. I don't care. I've
And
done podcasts on this show and other shows where I talked about the problems with AI from a creative perspective. Um, Anything that's produced by AI, like musically or acting wise or film wise, whatever, it's not art.
yeah,
It's existing material that's been repurposed and reorganized into something new,
yeah,
which in
it's
my mind, people could argue it's transformative, but It's really not, is it? I mean, it like for example, you can prompt it to do anything. You can tell it, "Oh, write me a new Shakespearean style script based on insert scenario here," and be like, "It's new." And it's like, "No, you've asked a computer to put together these existing ideas
Yeah.
and create something new. So yes, technically it's new, but it's not really, is it? Do
And
you know what I mean?
also, you didn't write it. Like, so
Exactly.
why? Like, yeah, I'm fully,
It's like to me, it's the same as when someone says, "Oh, I know a lot about this," and you go, "Oh, okay, cool. How?" And you're like, "Well, I just Google it." So
yeah,
you don't then, do you? Like the whole point of acquiring knowledge is that you go and you educate yourself, you retain that information, and you explore and you broaden your mind. You know what I mean? Like how,
yeah,
how do you become a better musician? Through practice, through working for it, through sucking for a long time, and then eventually getting better and
yeah,
practicing and you know and for instance songwriting, like what's the best way to become a good songwriter? Live life.
yeah. Like for me, I guess it goes with the sort of the style of stuff I do. Like the reason I write lyrics and stuff is for like expression, and there's no expression in asking a computer to spit out some words. Even if you tell it, "Oh, can you make this song about my breakup or whatever?" You're not the one sort of communicating these feelings. But I know that that's not what everyone's goal is when it comes to lyrics. But like
I just
for
think
me
like
personally,
any form of art for the most part is about connection to the human soul and relatability and stuff. Like when
yeah,
someone says to you like, "Oh, how did you write your lyrics?" You say, "Well, I had like let's look at my album just real quick, okay?
mm,
I talk about unrequited love. I talk about feelings of isolation and being overlooked.
mm,
I talk about, to an extent, depression, kind of apathy, a lot of different themes, and they're
mm,
all centered around real experiences.
yeah,
It comes from a real place. Now, if you, as you said, like prompt a computer and tell it to write you a song based on something, it's you're not doing it, and it's soulless. There's nothing to connect to. People might still connect with it when you put it out, and because they think that it's written by someone. And this is an interesting point actually. If you hear a song and it's AI generated, but you connect with it, does that make it not worth anything? I think a good song is a good song. I just feel personally that when it's created by a human, I can't even believe I'm talking like this. This is crazy. Like, do you know what I mean?
yeah. I know.
Um,
Yeah,
but that I said this about a year ago that I think that that's because AI is not going anywhere. It's here to stay. People have to just accept that.
yeah,
But from a creative standpoint, I think it's gonna switch into people that enjoy human generated music and people that enjoy computer generated music. I think that's the deal.
yeah. I agree. It's silly. Like there's 1,000 plus another million songs about love, but you have a favorite love song because it talks about that topic from a perspective you're not like you potentially either relate to or you've never kind of contemplated before. Like I listen to music because I enjoy hearing like a different person's sort of view on experiences that we all share. So like that's why I love Joanna Newsom so much, is because she finds a way of writing about quite universal topics in a way that's so sort of personal but feels relatable. And like she has an incredible song called Does Not Suffice, which is about a breakup, and basically the whole song is just a description of her sort of packing up all of her things from their shared bedroom and leaving. And it's just such a beautiful kind of way of talking about it. And then you can go into like her specific choices of words for certain moments. But you could also turn to a computer and go, write a song about a breakup. And it's not even comparable.
I was in a live stream recently, and it was one of those review ones where you're trying to get someone to check out your track kind of thing. And there was like a huge list, and I eventually got the guy to listen to it. But there was a guy who was dominating it, and I don't know why the host was doing this. He was allowing this guy to be heard like 1,500 times. Like He was honoring every track that was sent in, but this guy sent in like 8 tracks, and everyone else just sent in that one, maybe two.
Mm.
So we had to just endlessly listen to this guy's music. Now the music sounded fine. It was very poppy. The voice was very good.
Mm.
There was a producer guy who was in the chat, and he was like, the host said like, "Oh yeah, don't worry. He's just being not confrontational, but he's like, he's got strong opinions, but he is here to call out things if need be." He turned around and he was like, "I'm calling it. This is AI." And the guy who was being accused, like, he was like, "Oh, I'll be able to prove it. Da, 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 this, that, and the other." If you go on his profile, the photos look a bit off.
Mm.
Every the vibe, I can't explain it, but like, when you just get a feeling about something. Like, there's
Yeah.
no live videos. There's no like videos of him maybe in a bedroom. He said he had his own home studio and he was doing this all at home and stuff. And it's like that may very well be true. But how if
On his
someone
laptop.
when someone accused, let's say someone accused one of us of that. Let's say someone goes, your song Jenny was AI generated. You're like, well, here's a video of me like playing it
Yeah.
on TikTok like 2 years ago
Here's the
because I've
voice
seen that
note of
video
me
by the way.
writing it. Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like, you can prove it. You'd be
Yeah.
like, well, checkmate. Um, and I was just like, oh, this is the time we're living in now, where that's a very real possibility, and it's like, fuck, man.
Just sad.
Yeah.
Mm.
Moving on. Question number 3: if you could co-write a song with your teenage self, what do you think you'd argue about the most?
Oh my God. That's tough. That's very tough. Probably lyrics. As in, I would just be getting like really pissed off at my teenage self for writing shit lyrics. um, I'm not fully sure because I only wrote my first song when I was 18. So I didn't really have, I don't really know what I would have written about like younger than that because that wasn't really something that crossed my mind as like a possibility when I was, 14, 15.
What was your
Um,
first song about?
it was a story. It was a story song about two people who live in a house near the ocean whose life sort of falls apart. And one of them ends up drowning the other. And yep, fun stuff.
Were you watching Lord of the Rings by any chance?
it
That bit
was
where Smeagol like drowns the other guy.
weirdly, it was like an adaptation of a play I'd written for like for drama A
Oh
level,
wow!
and I was writing the song. I had a guitar part and stuff, and I was like, didn't really know what to make the song about because I wasn't sort of competent enough to write about my own feelings. So I had to sort of channel some feelings I had through that story, which is something I still do today, actually. Like my most recent song is another 15-minute song that's a story,
Woo.
but it's just a vessel. It's just a means by which for me to sort of, I guess, process my own feelings about certain things. It's easier to kind of look at things through characters, or at least I find it easier to do that than to sort of be super exposed in lyrics.
Is that a way of self-preservation, maybe for you?
I think it just helps me look at things a bit more objectively. Also, it's nice to, if you're doing it in a story, you can be a bit unreasonable and vent feelings that aren't necessarily sort of like justified. So, like,
Interesting.
say you can be angry in a way that I don't want to be angry in real life, or you can be sad in a way that I don't enjoy being sad. Like, it's nice to have a place where you can go to sort of these extremes that are totally sort of silly and naive, but it feels good to vent, you know.
Is this stuff you don't allow for yourself because you feel you can't, or is it more just like because it's not acceptable, or just because you just don't want to go there?
Because it's because I don't think I feel it sincerely enough to actually like like say you've had something shitty happen, your feelings will kind of, go up and down. So when you're at your worst, you can be like, oh, and it's nice to write that down sometimes. So, but most of the time, I'm not at that level. Um, so I wouldn't necessarily call it kind of my true feelings about it, if that makes any sense.
Yeah, no, I get what you're saying. I think it's quite a smart way of approaching it as well, especially if you're talking about something that maybe, let's say you're talking about like trauma, something like really quite heavy. I think that would be like a good
Mm.
literary device, so to speak, for that.
Yeah, I should clarify. It's not something I sort of actively intentionally do. I think it's just something that ends up happening quite a lot where I'll be writing a song that's a story and then I'll get to the end of it and go, oh shit, this is very clearly about this thing that's happened. And yeah, but it's fun. I think another thing that I've just remembered, I think my teenage self would get annoyed at how quietly I play these days. When I first started writing songs, it was about like being super, I really wanted to be really emotional and like loud and sort of pure, like big expression. And then over time, I've kind of gotten quieter and quieter and quieter.
Same in a way, but it's different a bit for me. Like I sing a belt now,
Mm,
but I also do like the chill stuff. But I actually started in rock and metal. I was in like thrash metal bands, post hardcore bands, stuff like that. Yeah.
yeah.
And I would probably I'd do like a hard rock band, but I don't think I'd ever do metal again. And one of the reasons why is I'm just not angry. I'm just there's a lot that annoys me about life, but like when I was a teenager, when I was like in my early 20s, like being in a metal band just made sense.
Mm,
Now
mhm.
it's like it's not interesting to me. And I still love metal. I don't listen to it really anymore. I'm more kind of like into shoegaze, dream pop. I like local
Mm,
bands, if I hear metal
yeah.
songs, I'll listen to them, but it's just interesting, like how you change and your music changes. Everything changes, doesn't it? Yeah,
Everything changes.
everything changes. All right, best and worst show ever played. Go.
Oh, worst show
Yeah, let's start with the
was
worst.
yeah. I'll start with the worst. I'm gonna call it the worst, just but it was actually quite a lot of fun. It was it was the worst because I was asked by a good friend of mine and also an extremely talented musician called Zakia. She asked me to play for a thing during Pride. It was uh, on Canal Street. We were just next to the Nell's Pizza on Canal Street, and we were basically just playing outside to a bunch of people who didn't care, were just trying to eat their pizza. And at the time, the only songs I had were like not pleasant background music. So no one cared. The sound system didn't work.
Oh, it's
Like
the worst, isn't it?
everything went wrong technically. But at the same time, it was like such an extreme of no one sort of wanting it to happen that it was actually super freeing. So we just played whatever we felt like, and no one, even batted an eye. So we ended up just having like a very pleasant couple of hours just playing whatever we felt like.
It reminds me of a gig I did years ago. Similar situation. I did like an outdoor music festival. It's the only time I ever did one. And when I say music festival, it was in a big London park.
Mm,
There was a stage, and we played on a stage, and it was cool. But we got there, and it was this, we had amps and shit, but we didn't have a full kit. We just had cymbal and snare, standard.
yeah.
And the we were told by the promoter that they would have a drum kit. They didn't. They were like, "So what are you gonna do?" And we're like, "Well, can we borrow the main band's kit?" And they were like being really shitty with us and not letting us. And we were like, "Well, we can't play." And like, what are we gonna do? Can't really. We're not really prepped to do an acoustic set
Yeah.
out of nowhere. I mean, we only had like one or two maybe. Eventually, they let us, and then they did this sound check. Um, it sounded shit. I knew they were trying to dick us over. I knew they didn't want us. We traveled so far to get there as well. And I just said to the guys, I was like, look, it sounds like shit, but fuck it. Let's just do this. Let's just have fun. And we
Yeah.
did. And it was, we played outdoors and it was fun. And I look back at those photos now and that time and I'm like, we made the most of a bad situation. And I think based on what you're saying in your story, like that's all you can do.
Yeah. And like,
Just laugh it off. Fuck it.
yeah, there's no point in being sad about it. The worst one I've ever done in terms of how I like felt was I was asked to do a featured set at the Dublin Castle open mic in
Oh
London.
shit, I played there. Yeah.
Yeah, so I'd gone to visit my brother and I'd played at that open mic, and the host asked me to come back and do a featured set sometime. So I sort of organized a chance to visit my brother again and go to this thing. I had a half-hour slot, and I decided in my infinite wisdom to play two songs for the half-hour set, and it did
But
not
what,
go down well.
the long ones or just like shorter songs?
Jenny and a 27-minute epic.
To be fair though, that's you're playing the full time. So what's the issue?
Yeah. And I should clarify, the 27-minute one is actually like two songs put together. But
You still played the time. So why did
yeah,
you
I played
like
the
it?
time, but it did not go down very well. It's a different crowd from Manchester. I should say, like, there was some people there who were super super lovely. Um, like
So what were they expecting? Like fucking heavy metal or something? Like what was the
I think
problem?
they were just expecting normal songs, which I should have done like for a first impression. But like the host afterwards, he described the set as funny, which I was like, oh no.
To be clear, it was a gig, was it not?
It was a featured set at an open mic, so I don't know if
Okay,
it's
well,
proper gig.
because the way I look at these things, right, is open mic. You play whatever the fuck you want. Number
Yeah,
one, it's an open mic
yeah.
for a reason. Number two, if it is a gig, I mean, it kind of was in a way. It's quasi, it's featured slot. I would argue gig.
Mm,
You play whatever you want at your own gig.
yeah,
The only time I think you can't is like, for instance, I've been doing these covers gigs recently where I get paid to like, and like that, yeah, you need to play what the crowd wants, what the crowd's expecting, in accordance with what you do. So I understand that, but
yeah.
I don't know.
Yeah, it wasn't actually that bad, but I just remember feeling like shit afterwards because I thought it was such a cool opportunity, and I convinced myself that I'd sort of blundered it. But some people said some lovely things to me afterwards, and the host was a very nice guy. But yeah, that one wasn't fun. My best gig, I my first ever headliner at the Fitzgerald was really, really,
Yeah.
really fun, but I barely remember any of it. I kind of just, I don't remember playing at all, really.
Drunk
Like,
or just zoning
no,
out?
just stress and like, yeah, just being nervous. Um, no, yeah, I didn't drink anything before playing because I was so like, I don't want to mess it up. But the most fun, weird one I've ever had, weirdly, is actually playing that same 27-minute song I played at Band on the Wall, with my good friends and amazing musicians from the Underground Folk Collective, which I'm now lucky enough to be a part of. They played like backing stuff for this 27-minute song, and with all of its like ups and downs and stuff, and it just gave it like a totally new sound, and it was a really lovely like packed out gig. And my friends were playing on the lineup as well. It was just like such a lovely, lovely day and night.
That's what it's all about, man.
Yeah.
What has music taught you about life?
Um, that's quite a big question.
You only ask the big ones on this show.
It's taught me that there's a lot of value in enjoying existence, like going to, I know that's such a silly statement, but like going, sometimes you'll be sitting in an open mic watching an amazing set, or at a gig or something, and you're just like, this rocks. Like being alive is very, very cool. I'm watching someone expressing themselves. This music's beautiful. I'm having a good time. I'm not worried that I'm not doing anything. I'm not worried about anything. I'm just lucky that this is an opportunity that I've got. Uh, it's also taught me that words are fucking stupid and I hate writing lyrics.
I feel the same way as you, man. Exactly the same. What's the best advice you've ever received?
hmm. Um, Probably that I shouldn't worry about what I know it's quite a basic one, but I shouldn't worry about what people think about my stuff. And that, yeah, someone said to me that I should think about the music I like
Mm.
and would I prefer that music if it was more accessible? I'm like, not at all. And they were like, if you're, I think it's Tarkovsky that said like all an artist needs to do to be understood is be sincere. And
Could
I'm
not
like,
agree
yeah,
more. Yeah.
yeah.
And this will sound crazy as well, but like, I really do feel like you have to be the biggest fan of your own music.
Mm,
Like, I remember hearing stories of Lemmy from Motorhead, from his funeral. I think it was Triple H, the professional wrestler, who recounted his relationship to him and stuff. And he said that like one time he walked into his dressing room and it was either him or Dave Grohl, I can't recall, but basically they walked in on him and he was just like standing there smoking a cigarette, drinking whiskey, listening to Motorhead.
nice.
And I'm like, you know what? I don't see anything wrong with that. Like when I look at my songs, my music, I like it.
Mm,
You
mm,
know, you should too. I think every artist should be the biggest fan of their own music. I don't think there's anything wrong with that. I don't think it makes you egotistical or anything. You need to love it because, as you say, like that's the best way to get like authenticity out of it and really enjoy it. And I know it's easy to kind of go sour on your own stuff, get bored,
yeah,
change things up, return to things, etc. That's all normal. It's all part of the process. But like really, it's other people's opinions are not as important as your own, I think, when it comes to your own work. Because I think people
yeah,
tend to forget. They get too caught up in, I need people to listen to this. I need people to hear this. I need people to like this. And it's like, well, you created this music, probably sat there one day, maybe on your bed or like just on a porch somewhere, and you had an idea and you brought it to life and it became this thing and it took on its own wings and became real. And people forget like how amazing that is. An idea became a thing that we can all now appreciate, you know?
yeah,
And it's like every time I've said to you, like, oh, your music makes me cry, and I can tell it makes you a bit like awkward because it's an awkward thing to hear, isn't
yeah.
it? It's right.
I really, really appreciate that, and I'm so grateful for how kind you are about my music. But I always just sort of go like, I don't want to be like, I'm
No, no,
glad.
no. But I get that because like for you, it might just be like, well, this was just a song I wrote about this, and this is what it means to me. But when other people find things in your work and they get moved a certain way, it's like I think, ironically, that the thing that really gets to me is the feeling. I just feel like when you play your music, there's a level of authenticity and realness about it that just catches me off guard, and I try to fight it and I can't. Like the last time was a really good example. We were doing the Old Monkey open
Yeah,
mic and you were coming on and I was like, oh, here it comes. And I don't know, just something clicked and I couldn't hold it anymore, and I let go. I was just weeping,
gosh,
and I tried to ask myself, well, why am I crying? There's no, I wasn't having a bad day. I'm going through tough times in my life, but who isn't, right? Um, but I couldn't attribute it to any specific thing. And like, there's been days when I've been doing very well and listened to your music and still cried, bad days, whatever. So it's not any specific thing. I think it's just when you hear something and it's got a level of realness and truth to it, and almost like innocence about it, it's like the most beautiful day you've ever seen. You just take it in and you appreciate the beauty for what it is, and that's all that needs to be said. You know.
Yeah.
Moving on. Moving
So,
on.
so glad. But yeah, thank you. Yeah,
Thank you for the music, man. What's the biggest life lesson you've learned so far?
oh God. Um, oh, I don't know. Communication's key, I
God
guess.
damn. Yeah, yeah, yeah. Spot on, man. Okay, final question for you to round things up. Do you have any upcoming projects or final thoughts that you'd like to share with our listeners?
I have got that little song I mentioned that I've finished mixing yesterday that's going to release as second release. Yeah. It's called I Need to Swim. It's not as short as the other one, but it is not a long one. It's 3 minutes and 12 seconds. So
Okay, all
one more
right.
song.
So we'll have two songs
Yeah.
to listen to now.
There will
Fantastic.
be two songs to listen to.
Do
I
you
don't,
have a release date in
oh, I've not
mind?
even, I literally kind of finished it yesterday slash this morning. So
Please this
I
year,
need to,
please. I'm begging
literally,
you.
when we're done with the podcast, I'm going to be messaging Michael
Oh,
about putting it on symphonic and all that and starting that process. I need to get artwork for it, or I need to figure out what to do for artwork. Oh, hey. Other than that, um, no, not a whole lot really. Uh,
well, listen, I wish you the best of luck with that. Can't wait for that single to be released and then your album thereafter.
Thank you. Yeah.
Thank you so much for being on the show, for doing what you do. It's been an absolute pleasure. Thank you.
Thank you so much for having me. Thank you. It's been lovely. Lovely
I'm glad
chat.
to hear that, man. Thank you. To all the listeners of the Christian Reeve podcast, you can find Eyam's work online everywhere. Go check out his single, Jenny. It's available now. And yeah, look out for that next single. It's coming out very, very soon. Um, yeah, just thank you so much for watching and listening. We've had a lot of musicians on lately, and it's been a lot of fun, and I've just been very inspired. I've managed to keep the show going despite everything going on. It's been pretty crazy, but I love doing this show. I love the experience. Thank you to Vilma for sending in your questions. Thank you to you wonderful listeners that keep listening and have done throughout the years. Thank you so much, and I'll see you all in the next one.